America. Hey, what's more made in America than a fair, right?
That's right.
Yeah. John Dvorak's with us. He's the executive director of the Rice County Fair. As I said on our Facebook post and Twitter post, talking about today's show, John, we're going to think summer on a winter dreary day.
Well, I tell you, yeah, that's really going to take care of the dreary day we have today. Boy, I tell you, be careful out there. It's slick.
Yeah, you had a little nasty tumble, I guess.
I did, man. I tell you, I opened that truck door and stepped out and kept on flying, and it wasn't on my feet. So.
Yeah, well, I hope you're okay.
Oh yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah, bumps and bruises. Just when you get a little older, they hurt a little longer.
Oh my gosh, no question about that. But we won't have to worry about ice come July.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope we don't have to worry about rain either, or hot weather. I hope we have a perfect fair week.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
It sure would be. I mean, is that asking too much? I don't think so.
I don't know if people realize. You're working on this year round.
That's right, Gordy. I am Gordy. I am. We're constantly working on it. It's getting to the point now where more and more acts are using social media, and they contact you via social media, and they bombard you. And yeah, it's kind of a pretty much a year-round planning session. You're always talking with various acts. Can you come to my fair, or can I come to your fair? And you try to find out where they're going to be all summer long. How can you work this expensive act into a more economical way if you can offer it being at more than one county. A lot of these acts, come out of Florida, Texas, all over the United States, and so, you try to get them on their route wherever they're at during the summer, and takes a little bit of communication, and it was real great when we had the Mitchell Marionettes, because they had spent most of their summer in Minnesota, and so we were very fortunate that we were kind of on their little route that they would travel, and was a great little family entertainment for the kids, and they put on a great show. Unfortunately, due to health reasons, they won't be able to be traveling this year. So that means that I'm trying to put something together now to replace them, and that's really hard to do. It's really hard to replace something that you've had. I mean, we had them at our fair for 12 years, and 12 years plus, and where do you find that kind of entertainment? Where people are waiting for that act to be at the fair, and unfortunately they're not going to be there. But I do have a few things that I'm working on and trying to work things out. Money plays a big part of it. You can only spend so much money to bring in one type of entertainment, and so we'll get it figured out, and people will be impressed, I hope.
And think about this. That was free.
That's right.
The Mitchell Marionettes were free.
Yep.
Like you said, they did a lot of area fairs. I saw them at the Goodyear County Fair virtually every year, and
yes,
they packed the place.
They did. They were very popular. They always had a crowd around them, and did a fantastic job. Personally, I'm going to miss them. They were great to work with. They were great individuals, very good to work with, and very kind-hearted, and you develop a little bond between yourselves, and that's one thing that happens with this business, and it's kind of sad to see people end their career. I'm hoping that they're going to come back next year in 19, but well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, they're getting up there in years.
They are, and they're out of California, and that's a ways to travel, and I'm sure there comes a point in time where they feel like, hey, we're going to retire and enjoy life now.
Yeah, or just stay on the West Coast or something.
That's right. Yeah, you got that right.
We hope that's not the case.
I'm hoping, but like to say, all good things must come to an end.
Yep. Well, there are things happening at the fair now that didn't happen 100 years ago at the Rice County Fair. I can guarantee you that.
That's right. That's exactly right. And things have changed over the years. I mean, just look back in the last 10 years, how much has changed in agriculture itself in Rice County. We're having less and less farms. The farms are getting bigger and far and few between. And it's seems like it's always on a pendulum. You take the different species that come to the fair and exhibit at the fair. Some year they're down, and then all of a sudden a few more families get in, and then they're on the rise, and so they're heavily in one area while another area is probably going through that. And so it's constantly.
Insurance agent in downtown Faribault, and is happy to customize the right insurance coverage for you, specializing in farms and businesses. Mark Dietz, Minnesota Agronomy Products, your local Titan Pro dealer. Werner Farm Seed Dundas for quality seeds at reasonable prices. It's Werner Farm Seed Dundas. They are your KDHL Agri Boosters. Well, in July, I don't think I'll be having a cold either, like I'm coming down with now. Typically, we don't have summer colds.
Let's hope not.
That's something else to look forward to. This the 145th year?
It is. It is 145th year of our Rice County Fair. So that's something special. We kept it going that long, and a lot of hard work goes into it, and it's nice to be able to say that you've been around for that long. So
that's twice as old as KDHL, because we're celebrating our 70th birthday this year.
That is right. You are celebrating it, and I bet you all 70 of those years were at the Rice County Fair, weren't they?
I'm guessing that that's probably the case. I wasn't here 70 years ago.
I wasn't either.
But I'm guaranteeing you KDHL was at the fair.
I'm sure there was. We'd have to be interesting to see. I'm sure we can go back and look, and we can find that out.
And of course, the legendary Dean Curtis started the Fair Queen contest. That was in the 70s, right?
That was, about the mid-70s is when that started. So yeah, Dean Curtis. I remember Dean Curtis. He was a fixture on KDHL and throughout the county, and well-respected individual, and was a great individual. And I remember the time I had a 4-H project, and I built a garden swing, and it was a big double swing, and you set in the garden, and it won a purple ribbon at the fair that year. And Dean would always come in the night after the judging of the projects, and would kind of incorporate it into the show, the individuals that won and all that, and that would be live on the air. And we farmed and milked cows at the time, and so I had to run home and do chores, and was hoping that I could get in real quick. So I had to listen to him do his little show, but he did manage to say over the radio that he was sitting on my swing doing the show, and did mention that I was the individual that made it, and so that made me feel kind of special that night, that he was able to sit on my swing and carry the show off of my swing. So
did you get it recorded?
I don't think so. I don't think that was that easy to do it back then.
It's recorded in your memory bank.
That's exactly right. I'll remember that for a long time.
It was a special moment for a young lad.
Yeah, it was. It was. That you could be mentioned over the radio. It wasn't too many times you had that opportunity to be mentioned over the radio.
Yeah, much bigger then, radio, because television was in its very infancy. So
that's right. And a radio station such as KDHL would come there for the week of the fair, and they would broadcast to the listening area that what was going on at the fair, because a lot of people probably couldn't make it into the fair, or weren't able to, were busy, and so that was their way that they could kind of enjoy the fair, which still is.
You didn't have the choices you have nowadays, where a couple hundred channels on your television or whatever, and you got Netflix and all this other stuff, social media, cell phones. None of that was around back then. So the happening event was the fair, right?
That's right, exactly right.
And it is today too. It's just different.
It's changed, but fortunately we can kind of keep the nucleus together and make that be the main focal point. And the board that works with me, and we put on a great fair. We're proud of it, and we have several individuals that work very, very hard at what they do to make that fair happen. And I commend each and every one of them for their part with happens at the fair, and all the people that are involved with the county fair. It takes it's not just the fair board that puts on the county fair. It's the we got a great Kelly Chadwick puts on a great 4-H program. I mean, without her, the county fair wouldn't be what it is, because it's all about 4-H. They fill the barns up with animals as much as they can. They have the general exhibits that they have in the 4-H building. It takes a lot of leadership and Kelly does a great job with that, and I'm thankful that we have her here at our Rice County Fair and in the county. You know, the vendors that come to the fair, it's without the vendors, you know, you want food vendors, you wouldn't have near the people that come, because, you know, people enjoy coming to eat the fair food. We have the commercial vendors that come and put up their wares in the commercial buildings and the areas that we allow outside for them to be vendors. So, you know, it's a large group of people that work together to put this fair on, and everybody does a great job with it, and you know, everybody works real well together, and that's why we're able to put this fair on.
145 years.
Amazing, isn't it?
Hope I'm around for the 150th, because I got a feeling you're gonna have a big bash. Sesquicentennial.
Well, we'll have to have something. We'll plan something, and I don't know that we'll get too elaborate with the 145th, but we'll do it for the 150th.
Yeah. Well, we'll still think of some things for a 145. I know we're going to do some special things in observance of our 70th out at the fair.
That'll be fun, and we're looking forward to putting a program together where we can make that happen, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with that, and put our heads together and see what we could come up with to make it fun for the listeners also.
You know, earlier you mentioned the fact that agriculture has changed a lot over the 145 years of the fair. Society, period, as we just touched on, has changed a lot in the 145 years, so it's kind of amazing that it's been around that long.
It is, and you know, hopefully we'll keep it going, and it'll, you know, just keep on going, and people beyond us will take it on and promote it just like you and I are doing it right now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure 145 years ago they didn't think necessarily it would last as long as it has.
Well, you're probably so, but I'm sure you still had those people that cared about it as much as everybody else does on the fair board, and keep it going.
But how about the foresight of their forefathers? Say, which reminds me, I don't know if you know or not, John, but has the fairgrounds always been where it's located now?
No, it hasn't. If actually the fair started off in Northfield.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. Yeah, it was in Northfield for a long time, and kind of moved back and forth, and then finally it's brought to Faribault, and it's been here ever since. I don't know the exact years when this all happened, but yeah, there was at one time, you know, the fair was in Northfield.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes.
You see that in a lot of fairs. They've moved around.
Well, they moved around, and you know, back then, you know, you had a lot of open area compared to what it is now. I mean, you know, for many years, as long as we remember, you know, Rice County Fairgrounds being where they are, but at one time, you know, that was not part of the city limits. I mean, there was a lot of space between that property and downtown Faribault. So, you know, I'm sure as it emerged, you know, it would have been interesting to see just how everything emerged to where it is today.
Well, it's a gorgeous complex out there with the aquatic center and the ice arena and the, you know, all that.
Yes, it is, and you know, we have a nice grandstand out there. We have a nice infield. We've got several buildings, you know, that we can rent out during the year for different events. So I think it's just a great asset for Rice County and the city of Faribault.
Which reminds me, you mentioned the grandstand. Now you've had the last couple of years some very successful rodeos there.
We have. Last year was kind of a rodeo that kicked things off. It was the first time we've ever had a PRCA rodeo. We had Barnes Rodeo come in and put on. They were the contractor. They did a fantastic job. They are fantastic to work with. Put on a great show. It was a spectacular show, I thought, and we're going to have them back again this year. So I'm hoping that's something that we can continue on for years to come, kind of making a main highlight of the fair, just like the demolition derby is and the tractor pull. And I think people enjoyed it last year, and hopefully they'll keep continuing to come, and more people get interested, and it'll turn into something great for not only the fair and the county and the city of Faribault, but you know, you bring in quite a few people. The cowboys come in. You know, we had cowboys that came in from all over the country last year. We had some good riders from our fair there was 8 or 9 cowboys that went on to another rodeo. I believe it was in Wyoming. It was the next biggest rodeo to the Calgary Stampede that they were all going to compete for. And they get on this circuit and they obviously go for the purse, the prize money, but they also go for points, and they have to build up enough points so they can be in the national finals. And so I was glad that we could get a bunch of named cowboys that came to our fair to perform.
So you think they'll be back?
I'm hoping so. The talk is, word spreads, and I had a meeting here 2 weeks ago with Marty Barnes, and he says that he's got a lot of interest. A lot of cowboys that heard about it last year are asking if Faribault's going to have a fair rodeo at our fair this year, and he's telling them they are, and they're all excited about it and wanting to come up. So, hopefully we do get a number of cowboys that come up, and it'll be a great time again. A lot of these times, there's only a certain amount of cowboys that can perform during the rodeo. And so what they have after the rodeo, so the cowboys can compete for their point, they call it their slack time. So they do have riders that do compete even after the rodeo is done with, just so they can compete for their points. So, we did have a few of those, and hopefully we can build off of that and have more, and it turns into a great event for us.
The rodeo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
At the Rice County Fair. 145th edition coming up July 17th through the 22nd, right?
That's exactly right. Be here before you know it. 6 more fair meetings before the fair.
Isn't that something?
That's right. You end with one fair, and the fall of the year gets a little bit slower, but all of a sudden that December comes around, and it's like, okay, we got to start get the ball rolling here, because here we are in end of March or end of February, and 6 months away.
And I see on your website that you're doing some Facebook. You want photos from the past.
Yes.
In celebration of the 145th. You're going to put them up on your Facebook page.
Try to. Tara Longeman's kind of handling that. She does a wonderful job with our Facebook and our website. And she's asking people to send in old photos if they have old photos, so she can get them pasted on the website and on Facebook, and hopefully we'll be able to do something with that. I don't know if we could put some kind of video together or not, but that would be something that we're kind of thinking about, if we could put a video together, but that remains to be seen. But
the older the better, I'm thinking.
Yes, the old, I see. Those pictures are always interesting. What really happened here long before we were around, and what better way than to look at the photo.
Well, how old was the grandstand that burned down before this one was built?
I couldn't answer you that. I don't know.
Okay.
What that was.
Have to do some research on that.
I'd have
See
to
if there
do
was
some
one
research.
even before that one.
Yes.
I'm guessing there was.
I will try to work a little bit closer with the Rice County Historical Society, and hopefully we can have they'll participate in it also, and maybe we could get some good information from them to somehow exhibit in an area at the fair this year. I have a meeting set up with Sue. Sue and I are working on a project. We're hoping that our plans work out, and we're trying to secure funding for something that's going to go on, and really don't want to say too much about that until we know for sure that the funding's available to do what we want to do. So, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a big improvement and an eye-opener for the fair and the Historical Society.
It is one of my favorite areas to go. We usually do a historical segment each day at the fair, and it's just amazing going down there and taking a step back in time, so to speak.
It is, and very thankful that we do have that group of people that care about the history of not only Rice County but Minnesota, but to preserve that history, and it's sad, but it's true. A lot of people, when you ask them where does your food come from, they say, well, it comes from the supermarket. People don't realize how tough it was for agriculture when this state first got turned into a state. You come out here and it was open land, and that's all it was. There was no store to run to get supplies. I mean, you probably had to drive a day to get to the store to get your supplies. And so it's really, we're really fortunate that we do have this group of people that can present that information to the public.
You are always open to ideas, right? People have ideas of what you could have at the fair.
Always open to ideas, whether or not we can fit everybody's idea in. Obviously, some we can, some we can't.
Right.
But, yeah, if somebody has a idea that they want, they can contact me at the fairgrounds, or they can email me, go to our website and get a hold of us that way. But yeah, we're always open to ideas, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we can use everybody's idea, but we listen to everybody and see if there's some way we can incorporate that into what's going on.
I mean, for example, I read somewhere, I don't know where I read this, but years ago you had a tobacco spitting contest, which probably wouldn't happen now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's something that would have been a long, long time ago.
You had a little spittoon, and then you...
Yeah.
I had a neighbor that used to do that. When I was a kid, I used to go visit him. I loved that man. He ran a funeral home in town, and he'd sit at the end of his driveway and put the spittoon at the other end, and he hit that baby all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's how times have changed, huh? How times have changed.
And the agricultural aspect, as you mentioned, John, I'm happy with the fact that Rice County still maintains its rural roots. Some places they don't want to be attached to that for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, you're right, Gordy. It's we're very fortunate that we do have people still interested here in Rice County in agriculture, and are very determined that they will keep it going. And we need those individuals, and not only just for the county fair, but for the county itself. And I think we still want to keep that agricultural presence that we do.
A lot of people I talk to at the fair, first thing they do is they go through the barns.
That's right. They go to the barns, and they enjoy seeing people at the barns. And you talk to so many people, and I always talk to so many people, but the most common what I hear from them is, this is the only time, once a year I come to the fair, and this is when I get to see all my old friends. And that's kind of a compliment, I think, to the Rice County Fair, is that we do provide at least one day of the year where people can get together and rehash old times, and I think that's important. And it's fun to sit back and kind of listen to individuals talk and listen to the way things were, and it's a great way for people to get together and just have a day of fun.
Yeah.
5 days of fun if they want.
Right. I remember way back in the day when I was a young lad, when most places had a creamery, you had the big butter contest.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And like we tell you, that things have changed, and hopefully, I know we're going to have a brainstorming session here, and hopefully those are some of the things that we can talk about during your 70th year at the fair, and see what we can get put together.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. We know it will. July 17th through the 22nd is the Rice County Fair.
That's right.
Which is a little earlier than last year, right? Wasn't it like
a day earlier? It's a day earlier. So, but yeah, we have Gold Star Amusements. They're going to be our amusement company this year, and they always put on a great show for us, and we have a great time. And we'll be doing the passport tickets again, like always, and that'll be a great way for kids to come out and take advantage of the rides. And so I just think it's going to be a fun time for everybody.
It certainly will. All right. And of course the food, you already mentioned the food. And I know by design you try to rotate in some new food.
I do, and I'm in the process now. People are sending in, requests for applications to be a vendor at the fair, and so yeah, we'll be looking. If somebody has something new, that's always a good way to get into the Rice County Fair. And we still have a lot of the popular vendors coming back that have been coming back to the fair for many years. But as time goes on, some people get out of it. This year, one of our fair food vendors passed on, so we'll be looking for somebody new to replace him, unless somebody buys out his little operation. And it's sad. It's you develop a friendship with a lot of these people, and so it's sad. When no longer come to the fair for one reason or another. And but you know, you make new friends and new friendships, and you go on. You know, life goes on.
The standbys, like, you know, the Cardinal Cafe and the Rice County
That's right.
Pork Producers, and you got the church stands.
The 4-H food stand has theirs, and you know, Schroeder concessions. You know, Schroeder's are right here out of Faribault, so they're at our fair. You know, they support the fair. Troy Temple is right here out of Faribault, and he supports the fair. He's been, you know, those two vendors have been coming for many years. I don't know, Kathy Heisey. She's been coming here for years. She's a long time food vendor at the Rice County Fair. And then you have the BA. You know, I know it had to be done, but you know, that was sad when, you know, when they had to demolish the old building and they put up the new one. But that old building that they had there, you know, coming here as a kid, you know, to the fair, you know, that was always our meeting spot. It was either the Cardinal Cafe or the at that time it was the BA food stand.
Right, yeah.
And or the 4-H building, you know, and both those two buildings have seen a significant change that I remember when I was a kid growing up, but it's cool. I'm glad that they're still around and they're still part of the fair and in a new way. And but that old nostalgia, you know, that sure was something to come out and to see that building, and that was always a kind of a thing you looked forward to, was going to the BA stand and having a hamburger, or if you got here early enough, you'd have breakfast there. And
well, even since I came here, the grandstand's new, the
Yes.
one we have now, because the other one burned down. The gymnastics, the old gymnastics building, wasn't there when I got here,
Yes.
and the Jake Gillen, you know, the Gillen building.
was not here.
That
That's a
one-
new building.
That's
Yes.
a new building.
So you know, and it's sad, but you know, as time goes on, you know, buildings do have to be replaced, unfortunately, and you know, it's new and better buildings get put up, and
Improvements to the barns. And
improvements to the barns, and we're fortunate that we have people that care about making those improvements to the barns, that keep those barns in the shape they are, and we keep them going.
Don't forget the website, folks. They got a really nice website, Rice County Fair website.
Yes,
That's where I saw
ricecountyfair.net.
where I
Go
saw
on
the
there, and
pictures.
we post a whole lot of information on there, and that's where you can find out a lot of the information. We're in the process of working on our premium books now. They'll be coming out hopefully a little bit earlier than we have in the past, so you know, there'll be a way to get out, and I'm sure that we'll be on the radio again and informing people what's going on.
Oh, I know you will. You'll be on with Jerry, I think, next time. So
That's
thanks,
right.
John. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just want to say hello to my little granddaughter Hazel. I know she's tuning in, so Hazel, I hope you had enjoyed listening to me talk on the radio this
Wow,
morning.
Hazel, you heard your grandpa.
All right.
That concludes today's edition of AM Minnesota on KDHLAM Faribault.